Hello, moviegoers! Welcome to another episode of CritiCarter, the show where I turn you into a cinephile. This weekend, I saw the new film SafeHouse, directed by Espinosa, written by David Guggenheim, and starring Denzel Washington, Ryan Reynolds, Gleeson, and Vera Farmiga. In this film, a young CIA operative is tasked with looking after a fugitive in a safe house. However, when the safe house's security is compromised by various unknown persons, the agent finds himself on the run with his charge in tow. I'm not a huge fan of this movie, but now don't get me wrong, Denzel, great. Denzel is a great actor. I've always been a big fan of his, despite what certain people would tell you. And he is in top form in this film. He plays it's one of those villains where you know he's a bad guy, but he seems kind of cool and you'd hang out with him, except for the fact that he kills people or something. Never been disappointed with Denzel, and that hasn't changed with SafeHouse, even though on the whole it's not so great. Ryan Reynolds, he's playing the CIA guy, and he does really what he needs to do. He's the action star. He pulls it off well, although I was really hoping bursts of green light would come out of his fist, because in a movie like this, the trained CIA people always have more trouble fending off random attackers than you'd think. If you go through all of that training in a high organization like the CIA, you would be able to take anybody down, nothing flat. But as so many movies show us, that does not happen. Gleeson and Vera Farmiga both have some pretty good supporting roles. Gleeson's accent, his American accent, is a little funny. It gets very high-pitched at times, and he does slip into his more natural Irish here and there, but it's nothing too distracting. Farmiga did a really good job, because she also played a military type in Source Code that came out last year. And she did a very good job in making the two roles very distinct, and she didn't come across as cold in this one as she did in the other. The big problem with this film, David Guggenheim's script. First of all, the movie's just too long. It's a hair under 2 hours, but a big chunk of that could have been cut out by removing the girlfriend. There's a girlfriend of Ryan Reynolds' character, and every few scenes you have him calling her up on the phone. It's like, oh, hey, and he tells her this cover story, because, if you're in the CIA, you can't tell anybody or else. Ooh. So it didn't ever really tie back in with the main plot, so you could have just got rid of it, didn't lose anything. And there were a lot of points in this film where you as an audience member can look at the trained CIA agent and say, you are making mistakes, you are messing up your job, here's how you need to be doing. Example, you got Ryan Reynolds and Denzel in the car. Denzel is in the trunk. It's made perfectly clear that the bad guys need to get Denzel alive. So it would make more sense to put Denzel up front with Ryan while he's driving the car. Because shoot at Ryan all you want. You take out Ryan, boom, bust out the trunk, there's Denzel, you're good to go. But you're not going to risk shooting at Ryan Reynolds if you could accidentally get Denzel instead, and then of course he's worthless to you. Which leads me to my second point. Why is anyone ever shooting at Denzel Washington in this movie? You say, we need to get him alive. That means don't shoot at him. You might accidentally hit something important. You're not that good at shooting. Also, there's a major scene in this film that takes place at the World Cup. Okay, maybe it doesn't really date the movie, but I just hated hearing the vuvuzelas again. It was just all, you know what I'm talking about. You remember when the South Africa had the World Cup? Just annoying as hell. Technically, the movie was a mixed bag. There's some really awesome depth of field, but in terms of the cinematography and film grain, which, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say your ISO setting was too high. Lots of film grain, and your typical action movie, lots of handheld, fast cut kind of cinematography. All in all, I'm going to give this 1.75 out of 5 crazy Denzel Washingtons. You can see my review last week of Woman in Black up over there, and you can see my review next week of The Secret World of Arietti, the Japanese take on The Borrowers, up over there. Be sure to like and favorite this video, subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet, and leave me a comment below telling me what your favorite Denzel Washington role is.
Click the black!